My friends, we are here encountering the vampire, Nosferatu. Yes, Nosferatu dropped its teaser trailer about 3 weeks ago, so I'm very late to this, but better late than never, and I watched it and I thought it was pretty interesting. And I saw this as a great opportunity for me to expand the horizons on this channel a little bit and start talking more about horror films in general. I've done thrillers before, like A Sacrifice, and I guess you could consider Coraline as a horror, but like Nosferatu is a horror film, and I've never really done that before on this channel, so what a wonderful day to be alive, which is something that I can't really say about Count Orlok, aka Nosferatu, because he is a vampire, and Count Orlok slash Nosferatu is sort of a complicated character. I knew basically next to nothing about him. I've heard of the name Nosferatu before, but I've never really dived deep into the lore of what Nosferatu actually is. But now after my research, I am just baffled by the backstory and history of this character. This character has like 4 films already to his name, and he's like a unofficial ripoff of Dracula, so he's like an imitation of Dracula, but he's also his own character. And whenever I think about that, it just confuses me, but in general, I believe that Count Orlok slash Nosferatu is inspired by Dracula, but is his own character. So we'll just go with that for now. And yeah, there's been like 4 movies on Nosferatu already, and most iconically is probably the 1922 German silent expressionist film, which was very well received. I think it has like 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and in general, people regard it as one of the best horror films of all time. So that's a pretty impressive feat. And while doing research for this film, I just kind of opened this Pandora's box of these monster creature movies. Movies like, Dracula, Frankenstein, and these just old movies I never really knew existed. Bride of Frankenstein, Faust, I believe. I just never knew that they were these rich, old horror films that were just out there for this whole time that I just never knew about. Count Orlok slash Nosferatu will be played by Bill Skarsgård. We saw a brief glimpse of Count Orlok in the trailer. I think there were like 2 or 3 shots of him. For now, we don't really have a good, clear picture of what he actually looked like. And I've read online that, that could be a potentially good thing, so that when we actually go see the movie, we'll be able to see Nosferatu for the first time in theaters. So that's a pretty interesting angle, and I never thought about it like that. But yeah, it'll be really interesting if they just never show Nosferatu in full detail in the trailers. That would be a really interesting choice. Bill Skarsgård, of course, played Pennywise in the It movies. And I also heard about that movie, Boy Kills World, in which he stars in, and the synopsis for that movie was really interesting, so I should really check that out sometime soon. But yeah, Bill has proved himself to be a wonderful actor, so I'm sure he'll kill it in this role. I feel like Nosferatu will be a little bit more of a quieter character and less flashy than something like Pennywise, so I'm interested to see how Bill portrays Nosferatu in this movie and how it'll be very different from his Pennywise character. Other than Bill, this movie has a lot of wonderful actors like Willem Dafoe, Nicholas Hoult, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, Ralph Ineson, also sorry if I butchered that name, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Lily Rose Depp. Starting with Lily Rose Depp, I've never really seen any of her work or ever really heard about her even. I'm so sorry for my ignorance. But yeah, she seemed great in the trailer. That one scene of her like ripping her shirt off was really cool, and she just seemed really into it in the trailer, so I have high hopes for her. Lily was apparently in the movie Tusk, which I watched like years ago and thought was so fascinatingly unique. And yeah, she's been in a lot of drama films and projects, so I think she'll be able to hold her own in this film. Lily's character, Ellen Hutter, was originally supposed to be actually played by Anya Taylor-Joy, which I would have absolutely loved to see because I loved her performance in The Witch, and seeing her in this like old Gothic setting would have been so perfect. So that is quite the bummer that, due to scheduling conflicts, Anya couldn't do this film. But Lily Rose still looks really good in the trailer, so can't really complain that much. Nicholas Hoult, good actor. I'm interested to see what he brings to this Thomas Hutter character. Ralph Ineson, I'm not really sure what his deal is, but he was in the movie The Green Knight as the Green Knight, and that was wonderful. He had a wonderful performance in that, so that's pretty cool. And I was a huge fan of Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, and I was just like a huge fan of Avengers Age of Ultron in general. I never really understood the criticism, but I was like 12 when I watched that movie, so my opinion might not be the most valuable. But yeah, I just loved Quicksilver and superheroes with super speed, so Aaron Taylor's performance and portrayal of Quicksilver in that movie was really cool to me. And now with Kraven the Hunter and Bullet Train, I'm glad that he's getting more work and recognition. And of course, there's Willem Dafoe. I believe he's going to be playing a vampire hunter in this movie. There was a leaked image of his character like laughing maniacally, a bed of fire in front of what seems to be like a coffin. So I can't wait to see what that actually means in the movie, but yeah, he's gonna be hunting some vampires hopefully. So you know, Count Orlok, you better count your days. Ironically enough, Willem Dafoe has been in a Nosferatu film before, and he played Nosferatu himself, so it's very cool that he's in this movie about Nosferatu again after all these years. Going from Nosferatu himself to the person hunting Nosferatu. It's all coming full circle, guys. Nosferatu will be directed by Robert Eggers, sorry if I mispronounced that name, but he was responsible for this wonderful little horror film called The Lighthouse, which also had Willem Dafoe in it, and The Lighthouse is just such an iconic horror film. Even though it was released pretty recently, it just seems to have become a classic already. So yeah, Robert Eggers, I have really high hopes for his direction, and yeah, if it's anything like The Lighthouse, then it's gonna be exquisite. The character of Count Orlok / Nosferatu is just really beloved from what I've seen and heard, and Nosferatu has been mentioned a good amount of times in pop culture, and from what I've seen, inspired a lot of things like vampires being susceptible to sunlight, like literally dying due to sunlight, and I'm pretty sure that Nosferatu started that whole trend. So that's a pretty cool and significant thing to have on Nosferatu's record. But more importantly, Nosferatu was mentioned in the hit cartoon show SpongeBob SquarePants, and honestly, that really skyrockets my view of Nosferatu. I love me some SpongeBob SquarePants, and they're doing a new movie pretty soon, and Sandy's gonna be the main character in that one, so you bet your bottom that I'm gonna be watching that movie and covering it on this channel. Oh, I forgot about this, but speaking about people that were originally supposed to be in this film, Harry Styles was briefly attached to Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, I think as Thomas Hutter himself, but due to scheduling conflicts, he could not make it for the film. So we could have had Harry Styles and Anya Taylor-Joy in this film, which would have been so iconic. So it is quite a bit of a shame, but once again, Lily Rose Depp and Nicholas Hoult I'm sure will do a great job. Interestingly enough, this Nosferatu project has been in the works for about a decade reportedly, and Robert Eggers also directed a stage production of Nosferatu in high school. So this seems to be like a sincere passion project of his, so that's always wonderful to have for a film. Having that love and care and commitment will definitely, I'm sure, add to the quality of the film. And this Nosferatu film has the opportunity to not just be a typical horror film, but also go above and beyond that and also have some maybe meaningful messages. If I'm not wrong, I believe the original 1922 Nosferatu film had some themes going on for it, one of which was about war and vampires, and how war is this monstrous event that is unleashed across the earth like a cosmic vampire to drink the bloods of millions and millions of men, which is one of the most beautifully haunting things I've ever read. So yeah, Nosferatu has the opportunity to be more than just a horror film and have a meaningful message, hopefully. One of my favorite horror films of all time would have to be The Babadook, because not only was it a very scary film, but it was also very meaningful and symbolic, because the Babadook, from my perspective, represents grief. He represents the grief that Amelia is feeling after losing her husband, and also represents the disdain that Amelia has for her son. And so the more Amelia grieves on her husband and is disconnected from her son, the more the Babadook gets stronger. However, near the end of the movie, when Amelia starts to realize just how much she's been neglecting her son and how badly she's been treating him, she starts to pay attention to him more and show him the love that he never got. And so now she's not motivated by grief and fear, but by love and protection. And so she literally screams at the Babadook to get away from her and leave her and her son alone. And the Babadook literally shrinks in size, this tiny little entity. And that's one of my favorite sequences in any film that I've ever seen. So, you know, hopefully Nosferatu has a lot of symbolism in it, and hopefully also has some meaningfulness in it as well. But all that being said, horror films don't have to be meaningful for it to be good, so to say. Horror films are diverse and can basically be anything that it wants to be. I'm sure there are a lot of horror films that I love that are just, you know, good old horror films. And that's okay. So, whatever Nosferatu ends up being, I'm sure there's something we can find to love about it. And I hope that Willem Dafoe keeps talking like this throughout the entire movie. That is all for this video, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think about Nosferatu? Are you gonna go watch the film in theaters? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to read your responses. Thank you so much for watching once again. Have a wonderful day.